off any order of $40 or more. If you have a message to get out, you want it to be affordable, but you want it to look professional. Visit RadioOnFire.com/Vistaprint for $20 off today.
You are now tuning into Out the Box Radio Show. Entertainment at its best. Hot topics, games, and unforgettable interviews. Welcome to the show.
I can't see myself. I can't see myself. I can't
we
see
are
myself.
live. Look, we're looking at the screens, like
you know, I like to
looking
look
at the Windows
myself.
desktops. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, Out the Box Radio, another special edition, another special show. Today we actually have a very special guest.
Yes, we do.
That was 3 specials in a row. You heard that?
Yes.
Special guest, Mr. Rob Scheer from Comfort Cases.
Yay!
Those of you who follow our show may remember we actually had him once before when we first launched our show. Was an amazing interview, and we are back for another special interview with him, but a little bit different this time because he has some special announcements to make as well, and some things that are coming out, so we're really looking forward to the interview.
Yes.
And for those of you who are tuning in, I'm sure you are as well. Definitely stay seated. But I have a few things I want to talk about first. Miss JoJo, and I know that I think we're on the same page when it comes to this. We talked about this last week.
What's that?
Halloween.
Oh, Halloween.
Okay, so happy after Halloween for those of you who are tuning in. Did you celebrate yesterday?
I don't.
I don't either. So us two around this table do not celebrate Halloween. So it was just another night for me, and nobody came knocking on my door, surprisingly, which is good. I had no knocks from no kids.
No. Aww.
No knocks on my door. But yes, I was doing some, looking online about Halloween, and I don't know if you remember this, but I was looking into the fact that they're trying to change the day of Halloween. Do you remember hearing about that earlier this year or last year?
No.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Well, it's coming from the Halloween and Costume Association.
Wait, are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
There's an association.
They're short for Halloween and Costume Association. Please Google it. It really does exist.
Halloween.
And they are trying to change Halloween to be on the last Saturday of October every year.
The last Saturday.
The last Saturday of October.
I guess so people can party.
Yeah, I think it was for different reasons, mostly because it provides a safer environment. You can celebrate longer when it's not during the weekday. Kids are not, out late at night on a weekday. They have school the next day. That's the main purpose behind it. I don't see a need for it. I mean, if it's been existing for how many years, and why change it now? Is Trump behind this? But nonetheless, I mean, if they change it, whatever. But I just thought it was interesting. And so far, they have over 40,000 signatures on the petition to change it. So people are really considering this.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, viewers, what y'all think. Those of you, I'm sure many of you celebrate Halloween. You have kids. You take them out trick-or-treating, or you let them go with their friends trick-or-treating. I'm sure you wouldn't be opposed to having a Saturday Halloween, celebration or outing. Personally, I do not give a crap, but I'm sure Jonay doesn't either. That's just us two.
So what's going to happen when you become a parent?
You just going to have to take them out on a Saturday instead of a Wednesday?
Because you.
Oh, me? When I become a parent?
Yes.
What do you mean what's going to happen?
So the baby's not going to be able to participate?
First of all, you talking about a baby. A baby's not participating in nothing, honey.
Well, I call kids babies. They could
You mean
be
like walking age?
Okay, so a 21-year-old
is not a baby.
I say
you talking about my ex?
No, I don't know
damn
why.
Sure was a baby.
If you're, I just always say babies. You could be 14, and I'm like, you're not gonna let the baby go ahead. Okay. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, then, absolutely, I will. But I don't care if it's on a Saturday or a Wednesday. If it's a Wednesday, either way, I'm gonna go with my kid. I've never experienced taking my kids trick or treating myself, so I want to experience that. So I'll go with them. Nice. Will I dress up? That's a maybe. I want them to have fun and enjoy themselves too. But you know how long it takes me to get ready.
Yes. Oh my God.
So I'm about to start like at 8 a.m. to get ready. Yes. Yeah, that will be exactly what my daughter will say. I'll be like, give me a moment. It takes me longer than you, honey.
I've never trick-or-treated, ever.
Never?
I'm a PK, so.
You found out last week.
I just found out last week.
But I went trick-or-treating.
I never went.
That was the one thing that they didn't mind us doing. Was that?
It wasn't like my parents were like super strict. Like, no, we don't celebrate Halloween. It just
it wasn't a tradition you celebrated, right?
So I know when I have kids, I'm probably not going to take them out trick or treating either.
Will you at least give them candy?
Yeah.
Okay. You can do something fun like hide it around different places in the house, let them find their candy. You know, like a little Easter egg hunt type thing, but with Halloween candy.
That would be cute.
You can make it work, or fill a pinata up with Halloween candy. Make it in like the devil, so that way they can beat him with a bat. Because sometimes you got to beat the devil away. He be on our back sometimes.
Oh, I know, like today.
Today was your day. The devil was on your back, honey.
Today, child. Oh my gosh. But what I did notice, I don't know how long this has been going on, but I see a lot of trunk or treating.
Oh, I thought you said Trump at first. I was like, girl,
no,
trunk or treating. Yeah,
trunk
yeah.
Or treat.
Definitely.
So
I've seen that.
Like, it's a field with, usually they're like vans of parents, and you just go to each van.
It's a little sketchy, I think.
You think so?
Because that van can close them doors and run off with a child any second.
Well,
I don't know if I,
like
I don't know if I trust.
I know
church. Yeah, church doesn't do something.
One of my friends took her sister. Her school did it. So it was the school, the staff, the parents, and they were on like the little field, and the parents had their cars out, and they
different. That's different.
Each car.
And that's okay. I like that idea. You're engaging everybody then. You're engaging the school staff, the parents, and the kids. That's a good idea.
That was cute.
But a random field with someone that's not your parents or.
I'm not doing that.
I was going to say, because is it an all-white van with no markings on it? I've seen enough of them in the news. I ain't got time for that. No. Well, you know I got my stats. I love my stats. Everything I do has to have stats behind it, okay? So I'm going to read you some stats that I got from Halloween, okay?
Okay.
80%. It's kind of a high percentage, I think.
That is a high percentage.
80% of parents don't use high visibility, like, aids on their children. So, you know, like something that's flashy or shiny or, like, objects. That way at nighttime, you know, when you're going out at nighttime and you have car lights flashing on the kids or something flashing, the kids' costumes will reflect light. Jonay's focused on the door. The kids' costumes will reflect light. Oh. So what I mean, he said, what I mean by that is this. Because I'm gonna bring it back since you just missed it, JoJo.
I'm sorry, because I heard.
I know. I'm gonna bring it back. So 80% of parents do not put high visibility like aids or objects on their kids' costumes, so they're visible, like at nighttime. Oh. You know what I mean? So you can see them crossing the street. You can see them walking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 80%. I don't know if I agree with that number, but hey, I don't trust the source of where I necessarily got it from.
Was it from the
Halloween and Costume Association? No, it actually wasn't. No, it was not them.
Did you ask Siri? Oh, you don't have Siri.
I don't got no iPhone, girl.
Who's y'all's person? Alexa?
Cardi. Okay, 65% of kids don't carry a flashlight with them. Now, I will say this. I never carried a flashlight with me when I was trick-or-treating, but 65% of kids don't carry a flashlight. I feel like it's probably more than that. Have you ever heard of that before? I mean, I know you've never been, you said, but have you ever heard of kids carrying around flashlights when they go trick-or-treating?
No. What?
I didn't know that.
Are they carrying a flashlight for?
Well,
to look at the candy?
No.
Say,
well, maybe they need to do a little spot check. I only got 2 pieces. I'm gonna go knock that door down. No, like they need flashlights, just like if you have high objects on you, so you can see the kids. Oh, just like alert or show people know that they're out there. Yeah, 65%. I got 2 more stats. Okay. 65% as well of parents don't discuss Halloween safety with their kids. I do believe that. I do believe that. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure people probably somewhat talk about it, but I'm sure there's a lot of bullet points they are not including on that conversation.
So like what other than... What safety?
I mean, there could be several things. Obviously,
you can't say don't take candy from strangers because that's what trick-or-treating is.
Well, don't eat none of the candy until you get home because parents need to check the candy first. So don't be eating the candy. I'll give you some candy from home before you leave. You put it in your pocket. You eat that candy until you get back home. Don't eat especially in Maryland, especially in Baltimore, and especially in D.C. Don't eat the candy, y'all. Don't eat it till you get home. Let your parents check it. One.
Nothing homemade either. I feel like.
Nothing homemade? Well, that's kind of weird. I don't know if I've never seen people give homemade stuff. I would reject that.
I would too. Like if somebody made cupcakes or something or brownies.
Bitches ain't no bake sale. I want some Halloween candy. I'll be like, keep your damn cupcakes and your muffins, honey. Give me the good stuff. I would not like that. But no, in general, like don't walk off with people you don't know. If someone invites you into their home, you better say, hold up, say no. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. I mean, they have to have some conversation with their kids.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Well, first of all, the parents should be with their kids, so it should be an easy conversation. Stick with me, you're good to go. Mm-hmm. But if they don't go with the kids, this is the last stat I have, 70% of parents don't accompany their children when they go trick-or-treating. Which means they're either an older group of teenagers that go out with their friends, or they're going out with like a friend's parent instead, but they might not take their own kids out.
Okay.
Type situation. 70%. I don't know if I know about that percentage either, but maybe. I haven't been trick or treating since I was like, Jesus knows more than I do. Maybe 11 years old, 10 years old. It's been a long time.
It's just too much. It's just too much. Just my kids aren't going. They're just not going to do it.
Well, you gotta give a chance. You gotta have some fun with them. Don't deprive them of enjoying the experience of getting candy.
I had a great childhood, and I never went to trick or treating.
That's because you played Mother Mary, and they probably had candy laying around in the baskets, in the mangers or whatever. You just grabbed the candy out the manger.
No.
I had them in my pocket when I was the sheep, the lamb of God. My final question about Halloween is this: like, what do you think the age limit should be? What's the cutoff for trick or treating? Let's be honest. Because I know people who will still do that as grown-ass adults. If you're over 21, to me, you're an adult. And if you're trick-or-treating yourself, you better have kids with you at 21 years old if you're trick-or-treating by yourself at 21.
That's a good question. Maybe
it's
like...
creepy is what it is.
I feel like it's for the little kids.
I agree.
I think it's for
I think the age cutoff appropriate, or like, I guess, non-creepy age cutoff. 15? I would say 15.
That's what I'm thinking.
15. But if you're, some higher teens, I guess, will go out together. By that time, when you're 17, 18 years old, by this time you're going to Halloween parties.
True.
And you may not be eating candy, but you're eating something.
Oh, gosh.
God bless all of our hearts. That was pretty much it. I mean, I wanted to get that across. These stats may not make sense because they sure don't make sense to me. Who came up with them? Halloween and Costume Association. I need to see your research and evaluation here. But no, we have a great show, and we're going to get into it in just a moment. We actually have a special clip for the viewers who are watching on our live stream, on our website, anywhere, everywhere. You're here right now with us. Take a look at this clip. This is our special guest who's here with us in the studio right now, Robert Scheer, who is the creator and owner, founder, all the above of Comfort Cases. Take a look.
I was the youngest of 10 kids. One of the memories was our biological father holding a gun to our head and saying, "Which kid do you want to shoot first?" And they would laugh. So the abuse was bad. It was bad. Not only physical, but sexual abuse. And then my parents died when I was 10. To me, it was the greatest gift I thought I could ever have. Little did I know that going into care, it was probably just as bad when it came to the mental abuse. Having all your belongings in a trash can, going to a home that you knew that you weren't loved or really probably wanted. And then when I became 18, I was a senior in high school and I became homeless. The statistics were I should have been a drug addict and should have dropped out of high school. But I just knew my life was gonna be something different. So I joined the military. I didn't join the military because I loved my country. I was going in it because I was hungry, I was cold, I was scared, and I had nowhere to go. I made something of myself. I got out, started working in an office, but I really never told many people about my story. And then I met Reese. We had a beautiful home and an amazing relationship, but I wanted to be a dad. If you were gay, it was two things that you knew wasn't going to happen. You weren't going to be a parent, and you weren't going to get married. Well, we were seeing on the horizon marriage was happening. And we decided that we were going to adopt overseas. And Reese looked at me and said, now explain to me again why we're not adopting locally in foster care when we do this. He said, do you really realize how many kids you're doing a disservice to by not telling your story? So we decided that we would take any child under the age of 5. And so we put our application in and we waited. We got a phone call saying that we have a brother and sister. They were troubled. And they said, the boy, he's a biter. You sure you got to make sure you want this one? All 4 of them arrived in our home with trash bags. I was absolutely shocked that after all of these years, since I had been in the system carrying a trash bag, these kids were carrying a trash bag. What are we not doing to change this?
Want this in there? Wait, I got it.
We then started working on being a family of 6, and we filed adoption for all 4 kids. And we went in for the fight, and it was a fight. We went to trial. We were told we were unfit because we were gay. We were told we were going to turn the boys gay. We were told that our house and our home was not fit because we were gay. The one thing that we did know is that they needed love. They needed to feel safe. They needed to feel wanted. I know I needed to feel wanted. To talk about it now.
Thank you, everyone, who are tuning in. Welcome back. That was a special clip of Rob Scheer from Comfort Cases. Rob is here at the table with us right now. Hello, Rob. How are you today? Feeling good?
I feel amazing.
Good.
I feel amazing. And to hear that last statement to say, I wanted to feel wanted. Mm-hmm. Every single day as my husband and I wake up in the morning before the kids get up and we start getting them up, and I look at them in their eyes and they look at me, and I know truly I am wanted.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. I love it. I've seen that video probably about 5 times since I've met you last year.
Well, thank you. You're part of the 130 million.
Right, I know. I was going to say, quite a lot of viewers. I get teary-eyed every single time, especially at that part. But
I still do.
Yeah, it's crazy how much it is. I mean, you go through something as emotional and a roller coaster as what you've been through, which we'll get into in a little bit as well. You being able to get out there and spread the word now and impact others in the community, which we will also talk about, is what I love. And I know all of your followers, your friends, your families, loved ones love that about you as well. Yeah. So thank you before we get started from Out the Box Radio. Thank you for what you do, everything that you do.
Thank you. I say this all the time. I don't do what I do for anyone to raise a flag and say, I was at the governor's luncheon yesterday and someone said to me, why have we never heard about you? And I said, because it's not my job to raise my flag. What it is, it's my job to make sure that we all understand that we're one community. And as one community, it's up to us to demand, not ask, demand change. And that change comes no matter where we are, whether it's our education level, whether it's about the fact of dealing with homelessness, whether it's the fact of dealing with people who just don't eat.
Right.
We have to demand change. If we sit back and wait for, I say this, if you're going to complain about the system, you have got to get in it and change the system. Right. I'm not waiting for my government, by the way. I'm doing this every day with the most amazing volunteers. Right. And I think that's the way we should all live our lives, is that we all should demand change. Right. And whether that change is as you walk down the street and you see that piece of trash that needs to be picked up, or maybe that person who's panhandling and who, by the way, they have a story.
Right.
They have a story.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We need to know their story. Do not look away from them. Talk to them.
Right.
You might not be able to give the money they need today, or maybe not even the food in your pocket.
Right.
But listen to them. That's what kids in care want.
Right.
They want us to listen to them.
They want to be heard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to bring something up. I think I shared this. I tagged you in it. It was a while back. And it was Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany, she's so great, by the
Isn't
way.
she?
Tiffany, it's great to see you. I hope you're watching this.
Yes, I hope you're watching. And
she got my book, so I'm hoping that she's
Awesome.
sitting down and she's reading
Awesome.
my book.
Yes, that's exactly what. Because I was looking at her interview, and she was saying, she's like, I wish that there was. She was saying the same thing about the kids, the trash bags, not having anything of their own.
What about the dress? What about the dress?
Yeah.
See, this is a thing that people don't understand. I really think that, we think, the government takes care of these kids. That's not true.
That's not true.
Prom time is going to come around soon. My daughter just went to homecoming last weekend.
Wow.
14. She went to homecoming.
14. She is
But
growing up.
How many times I thought about the young girls who are in the system who don't have the opportunity to buy that dress to go to homecoming, or the girls who are getting ready to go to prom and they don't have the opportunity to buy that dress to make them feel like the princess that they are.
Right.
Tiffany said that.
Yeah.
Tiffany said that. She said, she buys these dresses and no matter what they cost, she passes them on.
Right.
You know why? She never, ever has forgotten where she came from. The moment we forget where we came from is the moment we do the disservice to so many other people. And I'm not just saying it's because it's Tiffany Haddish, because she is but I'm talking about someone who's genuine.
Yeah.
I just recently did my audiobook. And when I did my audiobook, the producer waited till about 4 days into my audiobook, and she said, Rob, she says, I just did Tiffany's audiobook.
Wow.
And she says, and by the way, she saw your video.
Oh,
amazing.
Wow. That makes me so happy.
Yes.
I know she will help me.
Yes.
I said this in a Facebook Live post earlier, and I say this quite often. Each and every one of us are pebbles. We're all pebbles. If we took those pebbles and threw them in the water at the same time, wow, what a wave we would cause.
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
a wave.
Wow. Yeah, that makes me happy. Because when I saw it, I immediately thought about you.
She's
and I was
real.
like,
Shout out to Tiffany for your
I'm
support
so
and
happy. That makes
your
me
story.
very happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
very
Rob, before we get into your company, Comfort Cases, and the special announcement that you have to announce for everybody today, walk us through and the viewers through a little bit of, your backstory, your foundation, where you came from, and where you are today.
Wow. So I sent you a message earlier and said, wow, when I pulled up here, so part of my journey was right here in Baltimore, by the way.
Wow.
If you get our book, Forever Family, which by this way goes on sale on November the 6th, you have 2 things on November the 6th you must do.
Absolutely.
2 things. 1, you vote. You
Please.
vote. You vote. I don't want to hear your mouth unless you've walked in and cast that ballot. You vote. Then go buy a Forever Family.
Absolutely.
But there's something that I don't share with many people. And as a matter of fact, it's the first time I'm going to be sharing this tonight. And it's part of our chapter. I lived in Baltimore here. I struggled as a kid who had been homeless, a kid who was suffering from drug addiction, a kid who suffered from mental depression. And the last thing that I remember about standing on Charles Street was having a broken needle in my arm and realizing that this was not the life for me. Right? See, so many people look at me, they look at my family, and they say, and I hate to say this, but we get more of, look at the privileged white boys taking care of the 4 black kids. I will tell you, that table is turned.
Right.
I have 4 privileged African American children who are showing their father the right way. And so being here in Baltimore, knowing what my journey was like even at that part, it was hard. You know, I'm the youngest of, 10 kids, come from a very abusive family. Life is about choices, my friend.
Yeah.
It's about choices. I hear kids in care all the time. And by the way, we're going to stop calling them foster children because they're not.
Right.
They are children in care. If you're watching this, you're part of the whole movement. You have a group. You have a Facebook page. You do. Stop it. Stop it. They are children in care. I read an article just 2 days ago. A very large group of people in D.C. who have this coalition. And I kept reading where they kept saying, foster children, foster children. You know, the day that we as humans decide to label people is the day that we do a disservice.
Right.
These are children in care. So as I speak to these kids in care, there's a couple of things they say to me. You know what, Mr. Rob? No more trash bags. No more trash bags. We're not disposable. No more trash bags. But the most important thing, please stop calling us foster children.
Yeah.
We are children that are a product of a system. A system, by the way, they did not choose to be in.
Exactly.
But I also remind them they're in the system. Now they have the choice. I could have easily had the choice to be the drug addict. I could have probably been in the institutions or, the prisons, because, by the way, over 86% of the people that are in prison are touched by the foster care system.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could have been that person, but you know what? I had choices. I had choices. And I want people to know you have a choice. And if you have a hand, reach out. Because there is somebody that will grab it. I guarantee you they will grab it.
Yes.
Amazing.
Powerful. And I experienced that too when I did my training for being a resource parent. Like, I don't say foster parent either. I say resource parent. Here in the Baltimore area, I know different areas probably do different jurisdictions do different trainings and things. I'm sure it's across the board. It could change. That's one thing I did not like about the class, to be honest with you, was how much they utilize those terms every single day, and we're not willing to change it around. And it made me feel uncomfortable because I didn't want to say it. Just the whole process itself is very emotional, but then when you're throwing a label on it, such a strong label on top of that, you're taking away from the bigger picture, and you're giving a different meaning to something that should not be.
And we truly do. And let's start talking about the statistics, okay? Let's start talking about the statistics that people need to hear. First of all, the majority of children that are in care are white. They're white. We think that this is an interracial thing because we're here in Baltimore or I live in the D.C. area. That is not the case.
Right.
These are children that are white. Kids that come into care do not have skin color when it comes to that.
Right.
These are kids that have come into care because of neglect or abuse. They're put in a situation that they didn't ask to be in. And by the way, these are your children. They're your children. They're my children. They're our listeners' children.
Yes.
They are our future. So when you have this group of children and then you start hearing only 54% will graduate from high school. Only 54%.
Right.
That only 11% of them actually apply to a college. And the fact that we just had the most updated numbers of statistics showing that 2% graduate from college. 2%.
Just 2%.
We sit there and we drive down Martin Luther King Boulevard and we see people standing on the corner to clean the windows and we say, why?
Right.
Then explain to me why we have allowed those statistics to continue. So for me, I say this all the time. Is this about the case? Yeah, we give cases. And by the way, we've given 42,000 cases out.
Wow.
42,000 cases
42,000.
to 40 states and D.C. and Puerto Rico. And must I remind all of our listeners, Puerto Rico belongs to us.
Yes.
It does.
It is surrounded by water, but so is Hawaii.
Yes.
It belongs to us. We take care of each other. But the fact that we've done this with no corporate sponsors,
Absolutely.
the fact that we've done this because we have finally realized what is the definition of community. Community is not your zip code. Community is not your zip code.
That's right.
Community is our human race. So whether we live in Baltimore, whether we live in Baltimore City, maybe you live in Reisterstown, or you live in Austin, Texas, or even my little town of Darnestown, Maryland, we are all part of one community. That community should step up and say, no more. Let's give these kids the opportunity of success, because you give them the opportunity of a success, they are going to be our next leaders.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, in March, I actually had the unbelievable, humble privilege to meet a 13-year-old boy. A 13-year-old boy who was in the system. He got his first comfort case. He opened up that comfort case and he pulled out, first he got choked up.
Sure.
The producers said, what are you feeling? And he said, the fact that this guy doesn't even know me and he cares about me. Then he pulled out a composition book. A composition book, which, by the way, cost you very little.
Oh, yes.
That he thought
Cheap.
was a journal. And the tears welled up in his eyes. And they said, why are you crying? He said, I've had all this music up in my mind, and I've never owned anything to write it down in.
Wow.
That kid could be our next Beethoven. That kid could be our next person winning a Grammy.
Absolutely.
That kid could be our next person who shows us love.
Right.
And love will come again. Let me tell you, it takes very little. It takes very little. It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take time. Time is so valuable.
Yes, it
Give
is.
your time. Stop complaining. Start giving.
That's right. Now, you mentioned comfort cases. You mentioned over 40,000, 42,000.
42,000 cases.
Which is amazing. So thank you for that. Thank you,
Yes,
and
thank
to
you.
the whole crew at Comfort Cases for that as an organization. Talk a little bit about the company. What's included in the bags? I know we talked about it last time.
A company. It's so funny. When my husband and I, and by the way, there goes my book. So when my husband and I, we started our charity 5 years ago. 5 years ago,
Wow.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And we wanted to teach our children. So first of all, you have to say, kids are really privileged nowadays.
Yes,
Sure.
And during
Yes, they
this
are.
holiday season, we all know what we do. Either at Hanukkah, we go buy a toy. At Christmas, we grab an angel from a tree.
Yep.
We buy those needy kids the toy. And then we feel good about ourselves. We pat ourselves on the back, and I've seen that happen so many times. December 26th opens up. Our lives go back to normal.
Right.
Right.
Those kids who got that toy, and which, by the way, most of them are broken by that point,
Yeah.
their life in the system continues. So I remember getting my family together and some really great friends. My friend Nicole got together with me, and my friend Jacob, and we said, what can we do different? And we started talking about the journey. We talk about the journey of, me carrying a trash bag. Me as a kid, I remember 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, and by the way, that was only last week.
Happy belated.
Yes,
Thank you.
happy.
I had a trash bag.
Right.
A trash bag that I hid behind the school because I didn't want people to know that I was homeless.
Right.
And then 10 years ago, this January, my 4 amazing children arrived in my home with trash bags. And I said, are you kidding me?
Right.
We live in the most richest country. We supposedly give. And by the way, we give to so many. Why are we allowing children to still carry trash
Still,
bags?
after many years.
I'll never forget a social worker looking at me and saying, why does it matter? Why does it matter?
A social worker.
A social worker.
Someone's supposed to help you.
I will be the first to
Wow.
say that social workers are underpaid, they're overworked.
Yeah.
But if you cannot
Right.
look at the basics
Right.
of a child that needs dignity
Right.
and hope, we've missed it. So my family decided to do some cases. We were only going to do a couple of cases for the DC and Maryland kids, and we thought that's the way it would go. Little did we know that 5 years later, that we would have such a wave of volunteers. And by the way, we're a 95% volunteer-ran charity. We have volunteers
Amazing.
enter our system in Rockville every single day to pack cases and to ship cases. Because
Amazing.
that's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
So we put a brand new pair of pajamas with a tag. We make sure that every child gets their own toothbrush, their own toothpaste, their own lotion, their shampoo, their condition, the bar of soap.
Right.
We've all stayed in hotels.
Right.
We do not use the soap from the people before us.
Exactly.
Dignity.
Exactly.
Give them that
Exactly.
bar of soap. They walk into a home. They do not know these people. Do not expect them to assimilate at the moment they walk
Right.
in. It takes time. It takes time. Then we make sure that we give everybody a book. I don't want to embarrass your people that watch this podcast, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Books were made for only one reason. Authors write books for you to love them in your mind,
Right.
love them in your heart, and then pass them on. See, when I was a homeless kid, I would sit in the public library. I read every book I could get my hands on to escape. See, there's no such thing as a used book.
Right.
If you have a home right now that you're looking out on your bookshelf and you see all of those books, who are you trying to impress?
Right.
No one cares. What they care about is that you love that book enough to pass it on.
Right.
So we put a
Share.
book in every single case. We also want to make sure that we put an activity. See, people don't realize that kids who enter the system enter in the back of a police cruiser.
Right.
They go to what we call holding centers, and they can sit in these holding centers up to 8 hours.
Yes.
We want to give them things to do. Kids under the age of 10, coloring book and crayons. Kids who are over the age of 10, we give them a pen, a pencil, and a journal set. Last year, the Pediatric Association came out with a study, which, by the way, they spent a lot of our tax money for this study.
Sure.
The study stated that kids who are adopted and in care will actually test higher than kids who don't. We could have saved them a ton of money if they just would have called comfort cases.
Right.
But you know, to
Absolutely.
me, one of the most important things in that case, my son Grayson, he's 11 years old now. He was 6.
Oh.
He said, "Daddy, we must put a blanket." And I said, "A blanket?" I said, "These kids aren't cold." He said, "No, Daddy. Every single time a kid in care wraps himself up in his blankie, they know we love them."
Oh.
He was 6.
Yeah.
See, at the end of the day, that's what each and every one of us, every listener, everyone who watches this, everyone who reads our book, that's what they want, to be loved.
Absolutely.
And so that's what we do.
Absolutely. I need to come back out and visit.
Yeah, so speaking of which,
Yeah,
Yes,
I had
yes,
fun
we've done
with
that.
you guys.
Yes,
I had a
yes.
good
yes,
time.
Jonay
Yes.
Jared, who's not here today, but he will be back again next week. He is still continuing his play, his theater play. He's wrapping it up this weekend, so shout out to Jared.
Hey, Jared.
Very high ratings, by the way.
Sorry
which
we
is-
missed you, Jarrett.
Yes, Jared, Jonay, and myself, we actually did volunteer a little bit with Comfort Cases last year, and we had an amazing time.
Yes, we did.
Jonay's
we did.
sister came as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
She helped
I love
out.
my baby sister.
We loved it. I mean, and there's different areas actually that we didn't realize, and I'm sure that other people may not realize that goes along with this whole flow
Yes.
of the business, right, of the organization, and it just kind of goes through these different levels. So we had the opportunity to help at one of your locations. I think it was in Rockville.
It was
Correct?
in Rockville.
Rockville.
Yeah.
Rockville. We have a national center in Rockville that we ship all of our cases out of. I'm going to repeat again. So all you corporate sponsors out there who are listening and you want to do what we all should be doing, call us.
Yeah.
Contact us. We pay for everything ourselves. We have received donations from every single state, in every single continent.
Wow.
Except for Antarctica. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up with the penguins. But we have received, I mean, literally people from all. Yesterday on Twitter, I had someone reach out to me to say thank you. We have done 260 cases in England.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
260
Nice.
cases that they no longer call what they call rubbish bags.
Ah.
All because they heard my family say, we're all going to change this. And we are going to change this.
Absolutely.
I know we're going to change this.
It's already starting.
It is.
It's already started.
But there's so much more to do, by the way.
Absolutely.
You know, the case people say to me all the time, so Rob, the case, you started the case and you've been able to do all that you've done. Is this it? No, of course not.
Right.
The case was for us to do this, to talk about the 438,000 children, to talk about the 70% of all girls who enter our foster care system will be pregnant by the time they're 18.
Yes.
These girls are not pregnant because they're bad girls. There
Right.
is no such thing as a bad child. It's only a child that must be redirected.
Exactly.
These girls lay in the bed with men because no one has given them self-worth. We must talk about this.
Yes.
We must mentor them. We must let them know they're worthy for more than what we have been giving them.
Right. Absolutely. And
That's the
it's
truth.
I didn't realize that until I started the process for being a resource parent in foster care itself. That there is a ton of young women who are pregnant teenagers, and I just can't even imagine what's going through their head.
Yeah.
Because it's not just themselves they have to
hard.
worry about now.
That's
you know.
hard, especially when you're a child yourself, and then in your mind you're like, okay, I'm gonna bring a child into the world. That's heavy.
Right.
That's
And you do know why that
heavy.
happens. These girls, and by the way, I have a son whose mother was 12. She's an amazing girl. They bring these kids into the world because they feel unloved. They feel unloved. They feel unwanted. And they feel that if this child enters and exits their body, they will love them unconditionally. They don't think about the things of how to take care of that child. They don't think about the emotional part about that. What they think, and I've spoken to many, many young ladies who have had children at young age. They wanted to be loved.
Right.
We failed, by the way, guys. We failed. I'm sorry to put that on us as a community.
Right.
We have failed. We have got to step up and say, these are our kids. And by the way, are they mad? Hell yes, they're mad.
Of course.
They have every single right to be mad.
Yeah.
Let's stop pretending that when they enter our home, we forget their past.
Yeah.
We all have a past.
Right.
If you're sitting in your car and you're driving and you have that front window that is so large for you to look out front, there's also a rear view mirror. And even
Look
though
back.
that rear view mirror is small, that mirror is there for you to look in your past. You know, I say to my kids all the time, my husband says to me, your past helps define you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Don't ever forget it. You know, when I started to tell my story about 5 years ago, I remember someone saying to me, why would you do that? And I did it because I wanted my children, not for the thousands of people who follow me or follow my charity. I wanted my children to say, I can be proud of where I came from. I just get to make the choice of where I'm going.
Right.
Right.
That's what it's about. Don't let them forget their past. Don't try to make their past go away.
Right.
That is
Yeah,
part of who
absolutely.
they are.
Right.
Embrace that past, but let them know that the future is what they truly can
Exactly.
make it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I have a question for you, and this is more on a personal level with you and having your children. I'm just curious to know, like, through that entire experience of starting years and years and years ago, you know, being a resource parent to now adopting all your children, what would you say if you could pinpoint?
I know exactly what you're getting ready to ask. You're really wanting to peel that onion back. So first of all, I want to make sure everybody hears this and understands this completely. And there's going to be people who will see me on my Facebook Live page and other people's Facebook Live page. And you know what? You're going to disagree with me, and you're going to say, why would he bring this up? I am a white, privileged male. Understand that. I'm a white, privileged male. No matter what my 1040 shows at the end of the day, I am a white, privileged male. I walk into Nordstrom's and they want to know what my credit limit is. My 11-year-old son who looks 16 walks into Nordstrom's. They want to know, what is he going to steal? So the first thing that you must realize is that we are of color. The moment that someone looks at you and says, I do not see color, then you do not see my children. Prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself, whether you are African-American families raising white children or you are white parents raising African-American children. We are of color. Prepare yourself for that. Prepare for the facts of what they must go through, of how people shall look at them. Do not let them think that for one moment to be ashamed of their color.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you, I will not change how our society looks at my black sons. But what I will teach my children is to be safe, to be respectful, and to understand that the color of their skin is something they should be proud of every single day.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I do. Especially for the boys and the girl, because black women go through so much, and women period are just nurturers. We care, and it's really heavy. It's really heavy. But even just looking at things from your daughter's point of view, she has to carry the load of caring for these black men. Caring for her white gay parents. Because you guys get a whole lot.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, she's getting it from all angles.
All angles.
So I appreciate that so much. And
she's already faced a lot as well. That, what was it, American Girl?
It was American Girl.
Yeah.
American Girl.
Where they decided that the Million Moms tried to boycott Mattel because my daughter showed a picture of her and her two white dads. And you know, at the end of the day, I can't teach my kids how to be black. Sometimes they do try to teach me some better music. I cannot teach them how to be gay. I can't teach them how to be white. But what I can teach them is how to be good humans. How to be good humans. You know, when I wrote this book, I had decided from the very beginning that the book was going to be as raw as it possibly could be. It was going to talk about things that, and by the way, I've lost many family members along this journey of this book because they did not feel that I should tell the stories that I was telling. But I do believe that people need to hear it. I need people to realize that our lives are not rose-colored glasses.
Absolutely.
I do to know that people of all color, have discriminated against us.
Right.
I have had white people who have walked up to us and say, why would you adopt black kids? I have had African American kids walk up to me and say, how dare you steal our children? At the end of the day, my 4 children want to be loved.
Right.
They want to be loved.
Yeah.
They want to be loved. I don't know how much time we have left of this show, but
Just a couple more minutes.
Couple minutes? There's a part of a chapter of a book I'd love to read.
Sure.
Okay.
Because I think that there's something that most people wouldn't realize.
Okay.
That all started
Absolutely.
from here. So, again, our book comes out on Tuesday. Comes out on November 6th, as I always tell everybody.
Yes.
I want everyone every single person to vote, okay? And then after they vote, I really would like for each and every one of them to buy our book. But there's a particular chapter 13 actually, and it's called Roger's Gift. And I think this is going to be a shock to most people, and I haven't shared this chapter with anybody. And I think that it's very important that people know this chapter to know exactly what it is to truly love unconditionally. See, I used to live in the District of Columbia. When I lived in the District of Columbia, I really can't say that I ever thought about having kids who are African American, much less having very many friends.
Right.
See, throughout my time with my ex-partner Mike, I carried this heavy longing. I wanted a family. As a child, as a teenager, and then even as a young man, I had dreamed and yearned for one day a family was all I ever wanted. And during my 12 years with Mike, my ex, the possibility was it kept locking away in me. I wanted to be a family. Not only did Mike not want kids, but he put up these walls blocking me off from his own family, and there was nothing I could do about it. My life had always felt unmistakably incomplete. At the center was a major hole. After Mike and I had moved in together, I met a soft-spoken and elderly African-American gentleman. His name was Roger. He lived across the street from us. He was confident, well-mannered, very well-dressed. He was retired from the government job and just barely getting by. He was doing things like baking cakes to pay for his electricity bill. Roger was stubborn and ornery, and at times, but loving underneath. "I'll tell you something," he said to me once. "What's that?" "I don't need another friend." I said, "No, certainly not a white one." He then smiled. Eventually, our friendship became something like a father-son relationship. The description went by both ways. We each provided what the other needed. There were such wide gaps in our relationship with Mike that I needed someone to fill the part of me, and Roger didn't have any family of his own. So we fed each other's needs. We would play cards and talk about cooking and baking, which he loved. He would tell me stories about his life, which he lived entirely in D.C., about growing up with a single mom who worked as a housekeeper. He said that when he was young, black people weren't allowed on the beach. And when he went to visit his mom at her job with a white family, she would sneak him onto the beach at night so he could touch his feet into the sand. Roger, who I later started to call Pops, I loved him unconditionally. Even on bad days, though my poor choices, he had become part of my family. When Roger met my grandparents, Sue's parents, they opened up their arms to him, and he opened up his arms to them. Roger was getting up there in age, and his health wasn't great. So when Mike and I moved out of D.C. to a house in Virginia, it only made sense that I would invite Roger to come live with us. I know I didn't have to. I wanted to. It was what we were supposed to do. Mike knew that I wasn't going to let Rogers go, so he gave in. Roger had never lived outside the city, but he knew it was time. I invited him to come and live with us and told him to keep his monthly Social Security check and spend it on what he wanted. He helped me pick out the house because it was important for him that he had that feeling. About 8 years into our time living together, Roger got congestive heart failure. I took off time from work to take care of him and stay with him. There was no way on earth I was going to let him die anywhere else than at home with someone who loved him. We brought in a hospice nurse for 4 days a week, and we tried to make sure that, his days were of relief. See, the grief of losing Roger hurt me as bad as I ever thought. His eyes found mine on that one morning. He says, "I love you." He said it in a weak voice, and he took his last breath in my arms. I cried for some times, and I heard my grandparents come up down the stairs. I went down and asked them to call the funeral home, and then went back upstairs to be with Roger. I cleaned him up. I cleaned him with his basin tub. I dressed him in a brand new pair of clean pajamas. I spent some quiet time alone there just with him. See, I'd never lost anyone I had ever loved so much. My biological mother unmoved me when she died. We were never close. I didn't miss her beyond being scared of being left alone. Through the weeks, I mourned for Roger. As I tried to stay grateful that he had been a part of my life. And the reason I read this chapter is to say that Roger as an African-American male and me as a young white boy who still at that day was so privileged, it showed you that our love is deeper than our skin color.
Absolutely. Yes. So tell us, Rob, where can we get a copy of A Forever Family? Where can the viewers catch a copy of this book as well?
So you can get a copy of A Forever Family, Fostering Change One Child at a Time. You can pre-order it right now at Amazon or Barnes & Noble, even Target.
Awesome.
The book will be available at Barnes & Noble on November 6th at the Rio and many other Barnes & Noble.
Awesome.
You can visit our website, comfortcases.org. We'll connect you to it. Understanding that every time you buy this book, it's going to help put a case in a child's hand.
It's a blessing.
Important, yes.
It's so
very important
to me. So I can't thank you guys enough for allowing me here to again tell our story. You know, to be able to let people know that we all are one.
Yes.
We all are one.
Right.
And if we do not realize that, we will continue to see our country fail.
Absolutely.
Continue to see our country fail. So on Tuesday, November 6th, vote, and then buy A Forever Family.
That's the only two steps you guys have to do. Simple, easy.
That's easy, right?
Absolutely. So thank you, Rob, so much for coming in, sharing a chapter and a piece of your book.
First time I've read this chapter. Anyway.
Super excited.
Thank
I know
you.
that Jonah and I both cannot wait
to
get a copy of the book and read it.
Sign mine.
Of course I'm going to sign yours for you.
Yes, we love it. Everyone who is
So by the way, real quick, I have to throw 3 things out.
Sure.
Tuesday, November 6th at the Not Your Average Joe's in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Okay.
I will be there with all of my children and my husband.
Nice.
We will be there from 6 to 8 signing books, have dinner. 15% goes to Comfort Cases if you eat there.
Awesome.
Then on November the 17th, I will be at the Barnes & Nobles in the Rio. So you can come to the Rio from 2 to 4 to have my family sign the books as well. And my kids have been practicing their signature. Then
so
also tune in on November the 10th in Sacramento, California. I will be signing books at the Barnes & Noble in Sacramento, California. Also, make sure you watch Hearts and Homes on the Hallmark Channel, where you'll be able to see myself and talk about our book and so many other things. But you really want to do something? Right here in Baltimore. Right here in Baltimore on November the 30th. We will be having Pack a Trolley at the Royal, I want to say it right, the Sonesta. They have a trolley pulled up at 7 a.m. Come by, drop off donations, meet my family, get a book signed, we need toothbrushes, we need deodorant, we need lotions, we need pajamas. By the way, guys, we need pajamas for older kids. Bring that, drop it off. We'll have pickup places. Let's take some pictures. But again, give back.
Yes.
Because that's what we all should do. It's a privilege.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Robert Scheer from Comfort Cases. And if you're interested in volunteering, go to comfortcases.org where you can learn more about it and help out. We did it here at Out the Box Radio, and we will do it again. So we're super happy to have Rob with us today. representing his family, a Forever Family, the book that he just wrote, and his company with Comfort Cases. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you right here, same place, same time, next week. Out the Box Radio Show.